Hello, good evening, and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to the final revision series. And in today's session, we will have a discussion regarding important points from the budget as well as the economic survey, which are needed for the upcoming civil services examination prelims. Before I start the discussion, please do let me know in the chat section. Am I audible and visible for everyone? Am I audible and visible? Okay, great then. Let's start the this discussion. As usual, whatever PPT I'm going to use will be uploaded after the session gets over in my Telegram channel. And this is the QR code. You can scan the QR code, join the channel, or else throughout the PPT, or let's say in every slide of the PPT, I've given the address of my Telegram channel. You can basically search for this and join the channel. Before I start the discussion, somebody is asking for how long the session will be. Please understand this will not be a very long session for 4 hours or 5 hours, nothing of that sort. Important points which you need to understand from economic survey and budget, we will discuss, and the area of IMF, International Monetary Fund, which was left out in the last session, I'll cover that as well. Now, before I start the discussion, a very important announcement. Tomorrow from 2 p.m., Chetan sir will be taking up a marathon session under the final revision series. The marathon session will cover all the international organizations, important treaties, the bilateral relations, and certain social security issues as well, which you need to understand. Do not forget to join tomorrow live at 2 p.m. And I know a lot of you are anxious, a lot of you are getting overwhelmed. Reason is, as the day comes near, the prelims date comes near, a lot of you will get tensed. It happens because you are short of confidence. One way to build the confidence, one way to ensure that you're full of confidence is to understand that you are already prepared for the prelims examination. And one way to understand that you are ready for the prelims examination is to appear for mock test. So, part of Unacademy's initiative, Unacademy's All India Prelims mock test was conducted on 13th, will be conducted on 15th, 16th, 17th, as well as 18th May. These are the papers and these are the timings. The link for registration is provided in the description below. Please join, attend the test, and trust me, with revision that you have done, with the preparation that you have done, you will do well, and that will basically build your confidence. Now, let me start the discussion. Please understand, some of you might have read economic survey, some of you might have read, right, let's say the budget documents. Those who have read, attempt the question. If you have not read, listen to the discussion. But in either case, simply listen to the discussion. Do not try to note down. As it is, the PPT will be uploaded in my Telegram channel, and I'll also upload a handout. Listen to me carefully. I will upload a handout for economic survey. The handout has around 6 to 7 pages, maximum 6 to 7 pages. If you remove, right, essentially the pictures are from the document. The economic survey is 480 pages. You do not have to read all the 480. You need to simply read 6 to 7 pages worth of information that will be made available after the session is over. Just glance through all these particular points. Let's start. Which of the following will be increasing the leakage from the banking system and lowering the money multiplier? There is a chapter in economic survey where they have discussed lot of important financial market as well as the banking sector issues. One area that they have covered is the change in the money multiplier compared to last year in this year. According to the economic survey, please make a note of this. And when I say note, please make a mental note. The money multiplier is a 5.7 for 24 and 25 against a 5.5 a year ago, which essentially means what? The money multiplier has increased. A money multiplier has increased. Okay, so the MO has recorded a growth of 3.6%. Now, what is the reason why money multiplier has increased? reasons which have been cited in the economic survey. I repeat, in the economic survey. I know a lot of you have read M0, M1, M2, M3, and M4. We have discussed that in the current affairs session. We have discussed that in the static portion as well. So, what are the reasons? What are the factors which have which have influenced the change in the money multiplier? One, understand this. During the period of pandemic, during the period of pandemic, the people were worried. People were concerned. Concerned about what? Concerned about future. And whenever people are concerned about future, please remember, people will start holding lot of cash. People will start holding lot of cash. And if you hold a lot of cash, instead of keeping this in the form of, let's say, bank deposit, automatically the deposits held by the banking sector will go down. And when the deposits held by the banking sector will go down, it will have an impact on lending activity or the credit issued. And when the lending activity is affected, automatically the money multiplier would be lower. Is the point clear to all of you? So the survey simply says there is a recovery that has happened in the market. We are right over the pandemic now. We have come out of the pandemic. And because we have come out of the pandemic, the people's worries about the future have gone down. People have started saving less compared to the period of the pandemic. That is savings in the form of cash in the hand. They have started keeping more and more money in the banking sector, and that has led to higher money multiplier. This is point number one. Point number two, there is also a point regarding financial inclusion. Remember this, financial inclusion. Is financial inclusion having an impact on the money multiplier? Yes, it is going to have an impact on the money multiplier. How so? Let me give you one example. The government of India has implemented Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, PMJDY. Correct? And under the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, people are opening bank accounts, especially people belonging to below poverty line category. And when people will open the bank accounts, they will deposit more and more money. And when they will deposit more money, automatically the banks will use this money to lend more in the market. That will essentially lead to a higher money multiplier. There is a third point here, currency deposit ratio. What is this currency deposit ratio? Simple. How much is the cash held by the people compared to the deposits in the banking sector? Everybody is able to understand? And I know previously questions, in the previous year also, questions have been asked on money multiplier. They have been asked. But suddenly these particular points from the economic survey can be taken and UPSC can ask you a prelims based question all over again. So first one, currency deposit ratio. If people will keep more and more currency with themselves, automatically the deposits that are held in the banking sector will go down. And when the deposits held by the banking sector will go down, money multiplier would be affected. This is essentially considered to be a leakage from the banking sector. So first one, yes, it will lead to leakage. Second one, higher reserves held by the banking sector. For example, right, let's say statutory liquidity ratio or CRR. So when the reserves are held by the banks, if it is increased, essentially this money is not available for lending activity. This will reduce the amount of deposits. And when it will reduce the amount of deposits, automatically the money multiplier will go down. This is also considered as a leakage from the banking sector. Second point is also correct. Third one, successful implementation of the financial inclusion schemes. If there is a successful implementation of the financial inclusion, the banks will collect more money and banks will be using this money to increase lending. That will increase the money multiplier. It is not a leakage, it is addition to the bank deposit. Third statement is incorrect. Right option for the question will be option B. Only two are correct. Okay. So these are the points which have been provided in the economic survey. Please go through this, revise once. Let me go to question number 2. Question number 2. Consider the following regarding NaBFID. NaBFID. NaBFID, by the way, stands for National Bank for Financing Infrastructure Development. right? So this is a type of a development finance institution that has been set up by Government of India. Now listen to me very carefully. You may solve the question. Nothing wrong if you solve it. If you get the correct answer, very good. But there are two reasons why I've given a question on NaBFID. One, it was mentioned in the budget. NaBFID was mentioned in the budget. What context? Let's have a look at this. In the budget, the Government of India has announced partial credit guarantee boost through NaBFID to corporate bond market. I'll repeat. It has announced a partial credit guarantee to boost corporate bond market. So NaBFID was mentioned in budget. And there is also a paragraph which has been given in the economic survey discussing NaBFID. So listen to me carefully. Point number one, NaBFID is a type of development finance institution. DFI, development finance institution. What do you mean by development finance institutions? You have public sector banks such as SBI. You have ICICI Bank, private sector bank. You have Punjab National Bank. You have Canara Bank. You have Bank of Baroda. Can you classify these as a development finance institutions in India? Answer is no. Reason being, these are purely commercial banks. Commercial banks are those which are involved in borrowing through deposit collection and lending activity. Lending can be done for infrastructure, can be done for agriculture, can be done for industries, can be done for individuals. Whereas there are class of lending institutions or class of financial institutions which are called as a development finance institutions, DFI. By the way, ICICI, the famous private sector bank in India, one of the largest private sector banks in India, ICICI was earlier a DFI. Today it is purely a commercial bank. So in economic survey, what are the points given? Point number one, NaBFID is a authority which has been set up by the Government of India with the passage of Act. With the passage of an Act. That is NaBFID Act of 2021. Please remember this. And I'll give you one more connection here. Whenever you study about government organizations, you must have heard of different types of government organizations. Essentially, there are three types of government organizations. One is called as, essentially the organization, or let's say the entities which are under the government control. Under the government control, part of the government. That is departmental undertakings. Departmental undertakings. Example, Department of Post, Ministry of Railways. These are the examples. Second one is a statutory corporation. Statutory corporation. What is an example of a statutory corporation? My dear, example is right in front of your eyes. That is NaBFID. NaBFID. Any other example that you can think of which is a statutory corporation? Do let me know in the chat section. I'll give you one more example in a minute. Don't worry. Third one is essentially the companies. The ones which are set up under the Companies Act. Example, SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited. Right, so the statutory corporation, one more example is Food Corporation of India. Everybody is okay? So the example of NaBFID is nothing but a statutory corporation. So point number one, it is having a statutory existence. Second one, the NaBFID is also recognized as an All India Financial Institution. It is recognized as All India Financial Institution, AIFI. Please remember that. What are the different types of AIFIs in India? Totally 5 are there. Totally 5. One is NaBFID. Second one is SIDB. How many of you have read today's newspaper? Do let me know. In today's newspaper, essentially this was there. SIDB, NABARD, NHB and Exim Bank. These are the 5 institutions which are classified as All India Financial Institution. Done. Now let me go back to the question here. It is a statutory organization. Yes. It is declared as an All India Financial Institution. Yes. It can raise the funds from the domestic as well as external sources. Again, answer is yes. All the 3 statements are true, by the way. All the 3 are true. So right option for question number 2, will be option C. All the three statements are correct. Everybody is okay? Now, before I go forward, what is the connection to current affairs here? One more connection to current affairs. What is this concept of partial credit enhancement? What is this idea of a partial credit guarantee or partial credit enhancement? Simple. Imagine, understand this carefully. Imagine I will issue a bond in the market. I'm a company, I'll issue a bond in the market. If one more entity will guarantee certain amount of a payment in case if I default on the repayment of a bond. Everybody is able to understand? I'll repeat this again. Imagine I've issued bonds worth 100 crore rupees, but if a company or if an institution will guarantee, let's say, 50% of the payment in case of the default over the bond, that is essentially called as a partial credit guarantee, not the complete, partial. Generally, in case of India, 20% guarantees are provided in case of bond instruments. The government of India says we will increase it to 50%. The NaBFID will start providing 50% partial credit guarantee. And what is the use of this? What is the importance of this? You think of it, until now, 20% guarantees were given in case of a default. Now, if 50% guarantee is provided, don't you think the companies will be able to borrow from the market at lesser rate of interest? Don't you think the demand for such bonds will start increasing? These kind of bonds will become favorable, will be attracting investors in the market. Now look at the title of the article, you will understand. Please look at the title of the article. The Budget 2025 NaBFID's partial credit guarantee boost to corporate bond market. Right? So this is a connection to NaBFID, budget and economic survey. Please make a note. Let me go to question number 3 now. Let me go to next one. Next one, question number 3. Which of the following would be used to identify practice of friend shoring? Which of the following would be used to identify the practice of friend shoring? Right, I've given 4 options, straightforward. Right, let's say the 4 options. And listen to me now. In the economic survey, there are 2 terms which have been used. 2 terms. One, essentially the term of friend shoring. Lot of you are saying none of this. Have patience. Have patience. And right, the second term is near shoring. Understand the terms very carefully. UPSC can ask you straightforward the terms like this. And I believe a lot of you are simply typing this either in the Google or in the chat GPT and then saying, sir, none of this. This is incorrect, etc. Listen to me carefully. There are 2 terms which have been used in the economic survey. Friend shoring and near shoring. What is the difference between a friend shoring and near shoring? And is it connected in the current affairs anywhere? Listen to me. Friend shoring means what? Imagine one country, the companies from this particular country are having a manufacturing base, manufacturing units in another country. Now, if these companies will start moving, I hope you understand, if these particular companies will start moving their manufacturing bases from the second country into a third country, if the third country is nearer to the first country, that is called as near shoring. The point clear? Right? Imagine country A, country B, and physically, let's say country C is here. Rather than having a manufacturing base at the farther distance like this, far away like this, you will basically place your manufacturing activity into a economy, into a particular territory which is nearby. That is called as near shoring. Is everybody able to understand the term near shoring? And this is happening, by the way. This is happening. Right, for example, CBAM. If the government of the countries in the European Union impose a CBAM, it might happen. It might lead to near shoring in the coming days. Now, second one, what is this friend shoring? What do you understand by the term friend shoring? I'll take a simple example. Imagine USA, China. All of you will agree with one statement. Politically, both USA and China are poles apart. Correct? Politically. That is in terms of the political structure, the government. how the policies are implemented, right? What kind of political orientation both of the economies have. Both of them are opposite to each other. Now, what if a company which was present earlier, American company which was having a manufacturing base in China, will move away from China, locate its manufacturing base in India? Why? India is more politically connected to USA. India is more politically inclined in the same way as USA. India is voting in the same way as USA in the United Nations. This is essentially called as friend shoring. Everybody is able to understand the terms of friend shoring and near shoring. Near shoring is physically nearer. Friend shoring is ideologically same. Both the countries are in the same ideology, politically same orientation. That is called as friend shoring. Right? So these two terms have been mentioned in the economic survey. Please make a note of them. But how do you understand what is the measurement of friend shoring? How do you understand it? One way economic survey says is you can understand the friend shoring if the countries are voting in the same way in the United Nations. If the countries in the United Nations are behaving the same way, are voting in the same way, that is an indicator of the friend shoring in the United Nations. That is essentially, have a look at the options now. Everybody is okay. Question number 3, option A is the right option. And again, trust me, these two terms are very new terms. Lot of concepts are there which are needed for mains examination as well. In economic survey, there are a lot of things which are needed for the UPSC mains examination as well. We will understand those concepts after the prelims are over. Let me be focused on the right, let's say only prelims now. Okay, so let me go forward. Question number 4. So far, so good. Please do let me know. So far, so good. So question number 4, extension of the earlier question. Which of the following is or are likely to have a higher impact on the developing and underdeveloped countries' participation in the global supply chain? Which of the following will have a higher impact on the developing or and underdeveloping countries compared to developed countries in the global supply chain? What do you mean by a global supply chain? Essentially, under the global supply chain, the production will be fragmented across multiple economies. The production will be fragmented across multiple economies. Rather than having production done only in one market, the production process will be fragmented, spread across. Okay. Friend shoring, yes. Friend shoring will have a higher impact on developing countries and underdeveloped countries compared to developed countries. Near shoring, yes. Tariff barriers, yes. And non tariff barriers, also yes. All the four of them will have a higher impact on underdeveloping and developing countries compared to developed countries. Right option for this particular question will be option D, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Done? Okay. So question number 5. Let me go forward now. Question number 5. Consider the following statements regarding TReDS. The reason why I've picked up the term, or let's say the question on TReDS is a very big, let's say, table is given in the economic survey on the concept of TReDS. A very big discussion is given in the economic survey on the concept of TReDS. And very new type of statements were given in this particular article. That's the reason. Have a look at this. TReDS is regulated by RBI. Private sector companies with a turnover of 10 crore must be registered under TReDS. And the second reason why I've picked up is because there was an announcement in the budget regarding TReDS. There was an announcement. I'll come to that also. Third one, the platform employs auction-based mechanism that ensures competitive rates from the financiers. How many of the three statements are correct? Two reasons, like I said, one, the TReDS is mentioned in a very big, right, let's say discussion in the economic survey. And the second reason why the TReDS topic I've picked up is, in the budget, Government of India now says the private sector companies with a turnover of 250 crore or more. Repeat, the private sector companies, I've mentioned it here, which have a turnover of 250 crore or more, now will have to be registered on the TReDS platform. Will have to be registered on the TReDS platform. Everybody knows about the TReDS model? Please do let me know in the chat section. Everybody has an idea of a TReDS model? It is regulated by Reserve Bank of India. Yes, it is regulated by Reserve Bank of India. Essentially, it has been set up by Reserve Bank of India, which is used by multiple entities to provide financing features. Financing. Bill financing is done through the model of TReDS. Some of you are saying no. Quickly, in 1 minute, I'll explain to you the model of TReDS. Please listen to me carefully. Imagine here is a micro enterprise. It will sell a product to, let's say, a company. It could be a government owned company or a private sector company, doesn't matter. It will sell and the company will promise payment after 45 days. But what if the micro enterprise requires money after 30 days? After 30 days, it will basically sell this particular bills receivable. This is called as a bills receivable. It will sell the bills receivable to a financier. All of these are registered on the TReDS platform. All of these are registered on the TReDS platform. Okay, so have a look at this. The financier will provide the money to the micro enterprise, will hold on to the bill for the next 15 days. And now, after the 15 plus 30, the financier will present the bill to the company, receive the payment from the company. Everybody is okay with the process here? Everybody is okay? This is essentially the model of a TReDS. And what kind of companies are present which are providing the TReDS model in India? There are multiple companies. For example, there is a one company, M1 Exchange. There is a company by the name of M1 Exchange. There is a company by the name of Invoice Mart. Invoice Mart. There is also a company by the name of RXIL. Right, so three companies are there which are providing this kind of a facility of bills discounting using the TReDS model. And all of them basically understand, follows the TReDS model, which is invented or started by RBI, regulated by RBI. Done? Right, so TReDS is regulated by Reserve Bank of India, correct? It is a marketplace that will enable the buyers, such as government entities or private sector entities, to basically buy and make the payment after certain time period, that is basically buy on credit. And please understand, it is also market. TReDS is also market where the smaller entities such as micro, small and medium enterprises can discount or can basically get the finance over the bills that they are able to receive over a period of time. And this is essentially the model of TReDS. Those who are wondering, sir, what is the benefit to whom, etc., my dear, the financier, when they will give the money to the micro enterprise, they will charge a certain amount. They will charge a certain amount. That is a benefit for the financier. For the micro enterprise, what is the benefit? Micro enterprise requires money right now. Micro enterprise has a shortage of working capital. It can get the access to working capital easier. And that is basically the benefit for the micro enterprises, the financiers, as well as the companies. So all of these are parties in the TReDS model. Okay. So CPS it is compulsory. CPS stands for Central Public Sector Enterprise. The private sector companies, until very recently, if you have a turnover of 500 crore rupees, you were to be registered. You are supposed to be registered. Now the government of India has reduced this to 250 crore rupees. Remember this. It has been reduced to 250 crore rupees. That is a turnover of 250 or above. You will have to be registered in the TReDS platform. And third point, listen to me carefully. There is a competitive mechanism. Generally, this is not given in any of the books. I know this. It is given in the economic survey. There is a competitive mechanism that has been set up in the TReDS platform. What do you mean by competitive mechanism? Imagine there are two financiers. One financier says, I will give you money, but I want, let's say, 2% right, commission. Another company says, I will give you money, I want 1.5% commission. Don't you think this is essentially a competition, a bidding that is happening between both of them, which is going to provide benefit to the micro enterprise? because they will be able to get right this particular financing facility at lower rate of interest or lower charges. Right. So all these particular points are important. Regulated by RBI? Yes. Private sector companies with turnover of 10 crore must be registered under the TReDS? No. 250 or above. Platform employs auction-based mechanism that will ensure competitive rates from the financiers. Yes. First statement is correct. Third statement is correct. Question number 5, right option will be option B. Only 2 of the statements are correct. Let me go forward. Question number 6 now. Question number 6. Consider the following statements. Please be very careful with these kind of statements. UPSC has the habit of asking a trend-based question. I don't know how many of you have seen. UPSC has the habit of asking a trend-based question. For example, couple of years ago, UPSC essentially asked a statement. India's exports out of the total exports were so much percentage. That was the statement which was given. So question number 6. USA is the largest exporter of services in the global market. I can see a lot of you are saying B, C, A, B. Okay. B and right C. A lot of you have chosen B. Some of you have chosen C. Let's start. USA is the largest exporter of services in the global market. I know. For a lot of you, you will look at the statement and say, no, no way. USA is not the largest exporter, you will say. But the statement is correct. The statement is correct. Be very careful. That's the reason I'm saying be careful with these kind of statements. USA is an importer. Yes, agreed. USA is the largest market. Yes, agreed. But have a look at this. In 2023, USA dominated the service exports, accounting for 13% of the total global exports. 13% of the total global exports. How much was India's exports in services sector? 5.5%. Sorry, 4.3%. 5.5 is Germany. Okay, so 4.3% is India's service exports. So please be very careful. These can be very dangerous. You will feel it is very easy. Say I can close the eye, tick it correctly like this. No, you will make a mistake many of the times. So UPSC simply says USA dominated at the 2023 market. USA dominated with service exports of 13%. And some of you will basically say, sir, you're talking about service exports. What about merchandise exports? Question can be asked on merchandise exports as well. My dear, you think of it and do let me know. Which country do you think will dominate in merchandise exports out of the total merchandise exports in the global market? That will never be a brainer for you. That will be straightforward answer. Done. So this is statement number 1, correct. A lot of you are basically saying one is wrong, one is correct. Second one, India's share in global service exports is higher than that of share in global merchandise right exports. This statement is true. This statement is true. Please have a look at it. India's share, again, they're talking about share. India's share out of the total service exports in the global market essentially is 4.3%. What about the merchandise exports? 1.8%. 1.8%. So when you talk about the total share of exports, India's service exports is greater than the merchandise exports. Let me ask you one question. Instead of asking out of the total global trade, what if UPSC will ask you between merchandise exports and service exports, which one is greater from India? Let me see how many of you will be able to answer. I'll repeat the statement by the way. They will ask you between merchandise exports and service exports in terms of value. In terms of value, which one is greater? Again, I'm talking in terms of value. And I know a lot of you will make mistake here also. I know a lot of you will make mistake. Lot of you will choose services. Why? Your argument will be, sir, I read in the newspaper, we have a surplus in the service exports. Correct? That will be your argument. We have surplus in the service exports. Hence, I feel service exports is greater than the merchandise export. Make a note of this. Just make a note of this. Have a look at the data here. Out of the total exports, I repeat, out of the total exports in 23 and 24. And by the way, before you simply say, sir, this is very old data. When this was published? When was it published? And who published it? It was published by PIB on which date? 1st February. That is from Economic Survey. Out of the total exports of $778 billion, $778 billion, how much is the merchandise exports? $437 billion. And how much is the service exports? $341 billion. So now tell me, between merchandise exports and service exports, which one is greater from India? It is merchandise export. Is it okay? Be very careful. These are very tricky statements. These are very, very tricky statements. Iranna Kunchnur. How come? My dear, what is the answer to how come? We are exporting more of merchandise compared to services. That's it. In case of merchandise, our imports are more. That's the reason we have a merchandise trade deficit. And in case of services, our service exports are more. We have a service trade surplus. It is basically you are looking at only one parameter. You will also have to look at the imports as well. Done? Okay, so be very, very careful. That's the reason I'm saying be very, very careful. These are easy statements, but confusing. Lot of you will make mistakes here. Okay, India's share in global service exports is higher than that of share in global merchandise exports. This statement is true. So question number 6, everybody is okay? Right option is option C. Right option is option C. And just to make it much more, let's say, exhaustive, I've given data. What are the top export markets for India? Go through all of this. What are the top exports of our market of India for expo? What are the top markets for Indian exports? The first market is USA. Second market is UAE. Third one, unlikely, but Netherlands. Please make a note of all of this. And right, have a look at this. Region wise, India's exports over the years. What are the different regions? The data is given. Please glance through all of it. Glance. Go through all of this at least once before the examination is done. Not after the exams. Please don't do it after the exams. After the exams, you'll keep on searching. Where is that PPT? Where is that PPT? Let me see what is the right answer. Do it before the exams. Question number 7. Let's go forward. Which of the following is or are types of food grain storage? Which of the following is or are types of food grain storage? Flow span, hub and spoke model silos, smart warehouses. How many of them are correct? Two reasons why I've given this. One, the term flow span, very new term, but make a note of this. The term flow span is mentioned in economic survey. It is mentioned in economic survey. And this one, this picture I've taken from year-end review from PIB. Right? Again, those who are asking what is a flow span, I'll explain it. Have patience. Have patience. I'll explain. Don't worry. So flow span was mentioned in economic survey, was mentioned in PIB, right? That is year-end review of PIB. Hub and spoke model silos was also mentioned. The smart warehouses was also mentioned. So all the three are types of warehousing, food grain storage facilities which are being developed by Government of India. Government of India is essentially focused on development of warehouses. That should not be a news for you. It should be a fact. It is focused on the development of warehouses. But what are the different types of warehouses which we are targeting right now? Three types: flow span, hub and spoke model, and smart warehouses. Let's go one after the other. What is a flow span? Flow span essentially means a type of a mobile storage unit. MSU, mobile storage unit. Imagine a vehicle is fitted with certain, let's say, climate control technology, and this can store huge amount of food grains. You will store the food grains, and wherever it is required, especially let's say in hilly regions. Imagine hilly regions or the regions with very difficult accessibility, etc. There you will basically install these mobile storage units. These are called as flow spans. Is the point clear? Point number 1. Point number 2, Hub and spoke model silo. What is the hub and spoke model silo? Imagine there is a very large warehouse. Okay, imagine there is a very large warehouse. In this large warehouse or to this large warehouse, railway connectivity is provided. Railway connectivity is provided. Now, these railway connectivity, that is railway lines, will basically go to multiple warehouses which are smaller warehouses. Imagine a situation like this. These railway lines will be connected to smaller warehouses. Very simple question to all of you. Using the railway line, can I move food grains from this larger warehouse to smaller warehouses and vice versa? Correct? Right? I hope you understand this. Can I move food grains from large to small, small to large? Yes. This model is essentially called as a hub and spoke model, right? Silo system. Third one, smart warehouses. What are smart warehouses? Right? Essentially, these warehouses will be developed with the partnership of World Food Program. Remember this. WFP. In partnership with the WFP, we are developing smart warehouses in India. And these warehouses will use a technology. What kind of technology? Sensors will be installed. Right? Monitors will be installed. Automatically, they'll be able to detect the change in the, right, let's say temperature, etc. And automatically, the climate within the warehouse will also be adjusted. Everybody's okay? So these are the three types. One has been mentioned in the economic survey, remaining two in PIB. Please remember, right option for this question will be option C. All the three are correct. Okay. Now let me go forward to question number 8 then. Question number 8. Okay. Which of the following has set up e-migrate portal? Which of the following has been set up, right, by which of the following has set up e-migrate portal? And this was there. I hope you understand. This was there even in the context of labor migration from India. I'll tell you the context also. This is mentioned in economic survey, and as such, this is also there in the context of labor migration. I'll tell you one example. Listen to me carefully. Last year, there was a lot of discussion regarding sending workers from India to Israel. Correct? All of you heard of this? Last year, there was a lot of discussion. Lot of you are making mistake regarding this question. I'll answer. Have patience. Last year, there was a lot of discussion that the people from some of the states in India want to go to Israel. Even though Israel was a war zone. Even though Israel was a war zone, lot of the people said, I'm not getting jobs in India. Let me go to Israel, earn certain amount of money. So I hope you understand in that particular context also the e-migrate portal was there in the newspaper. And in economic survey also, the e-migrate has been mentioned. And by the way, e-migrate portal has been set up by Ministry of External Affairs. Lot of you are simply choosing option B. Why? Migration, labor. This is your connection. I hope you understand. Your argument will be migration and labor. Obviously, your mind will say, see, look at the connection. How easily you're making connection. Hence, your mind will say, go for option B. Option B is incorrect. Right option is option D, Ministry of External Affairs. Ministry of External Affairs, MEA. What is the argument here? Under the e-migrate portal, essentially those particular people who are going to war zones, especially to war zones, they've identified around 18 countries. If you are going to war zones, then you'll have to register in the e-migrate portal. Reason being, the Indian government through the Ministry of External Affairs will ensure your protection. It will ensure, right, you will be paid correctly in these particular countries. It will ensure you will be treated better in these particular countries. That is the use of e-migrate portal. Please make a note of this. It has been there in the newspaper for multiple reasons. I repeat, multiple reasons. Don't make a mistake. Easy question. Don't make a mistake. Now, here itself, because there is a discussion regarding mobility packs, right? There is a lot of discussion regarding mobility packs. Have a look at this. India has signed multiple migration and mobility partnership agreements and labor mobility agreements. UPSC can ask you a question on the list of the countries. List of the countries. These are the countries with whom India has signed the migration and mobility partnership agreement. And if you're wondering, sir, what is this agreement? What is the meaning of these agreements? India will sign an agreement with another country under which Indian government will guarantee supply of labor to another country. The point clear? Right? We will basically guarantee supply of labor. Surplus labor is there in India. We will supply the labor to these particular countries. We will sign an agreement, and these are called as migration and mobility partnership agreements or labor mobility agreement. So we have signed that with the UK, Italy, at Saudi Arabia, Japan, Bahrain, etc. This is a list of the countries. Do not go to this particular website and start downloading individual documents. Not necessary. At least remember the ones which have been signed in 2024. Is the point clear? At least try to remember the ones which have been signed, and most of them have been signed in 2024. If at all a question is asked, I know, difficult for you to remember so many countries. I know, but can't help. Easier question if you know the list of the countries. At least remember or glance before you go to the examination. Let me go to next one. Question number 9 now. Somebody said, how do I remember all of these particular list of countries? My dear, the UPSC is one examination where you will have to find out a way. Find out a way. There is no option. For example, MSP. Can there be a question asked on crops covered under MSP? Yes, it has been asked by UPSC. UPSC is expecting you to remember most of the crops which are there under MSP. Okay, so let me go forward. Consider the following statements regarding dependency ratio. This concept of dependency ratio has been discussed under the chapter of employment in economic survey. Employment in economic survey. India's dependency ratio has been increasing very fast in the last decade. Before I go forward, what do you mean by dependency ratio? Simple concept here. Dependency ratio basically is a ratio where in the numerator we will find out how many children are there and how many people, right, which is above the age of 64, which is, right, let's say pensioner age. So, children plus pensioner divided by, right, have a look at the formula, divided by the population which is a working age population. Simple. Okay. So, children plus pensioner divided by working age population. That is called as a dependency ratio. India's dependency ratio has been increasing very fast in the last decade. Statement is incorrect. Why? Economic survey says dependency ratio in India has declined. It has declined, and that is considered to be good. I hope you understand that is considered to be good. Why? When the number of dependents are lesser, the pressure on the working population is lesser. That's a reason. Dependency ratio is the number of children per worker? No. Right? It is essentially measuring, right, for every person, let's say, how many people are in the dependency ratio, children plus the old age population. For those many people, how many workers are there? And that is basically the formula for dependency ratio. Second statement is also incorrect. Let me give you certain data here. Please have a look at the graphical representation. Bottom part. Look at the graphical representation. The dependency ratio, the total dependency ratio in 2011 was around 65. It was around 65. This particular dependency ratio has in fact reduced to 54. It has reduced to 54. Sorry, it has come down now, right? 2021, it is lesser. Now it is further expected to go down to 54 by 2036. Right? So dependency ratio has not increased sharply. It has in fact come down. Everybody is okay? Right? So dependency ratio is the number of children per worker. That is also incorrect. Right? So first one is incorrect. Second one is incorrect. Tara can say is it is projected. My dear, if you look at the graph, you will understand it has actually declined till 2021. I've given the data also. You can have a look at it. I've given the data. You can have a look at it. 2021, it was right 55%. Earlier it was 64%. 2021 it has come down to 55, and by 2036 it is further estimated to go down to 54. Agreed, right? 2036 is estimated, but 2021 is the fact. At least remember. Let me go forward. So right option for question number 9 will be option D. Question number 10. Look at the question number 10 now. Please look at the question number 10. Which of the following indicators represent demographic dividend potential? Which of the following represent demographic dividend potential? Right? Which of the following represent potential for demographic dividend? Demographic dividend essentially means because of the shift in the population. Repeat, because of shift in the population, you will be able to achieve a higher GDP growth rate. Because of shift in the population, you will be able to achieve a higher GDP growth rate. Right? That is essentially the concept of demographic, right? Let's say demographic dividend potential. Okay. Now, median age below 30. By the way, right now in case of India, the median age is 28 years. Remember this. And those who are wondering, sir, what is the meaning of a median age? Understand, it is essentially the age which will divide the whole population into two equal halves. I'll repeat the statement. The median age essentially will divide the population into two equal halves. That is, right, essentially the median age. So median age below 30 years, right now in case of India, it is 28 years. What does it indicate? What does it essentially indicate? It essentially indicates that a huge population is essentially working, or it is in the part of the youth age, which will contribute to higher productivity, higher production. So first statement is correct. First one is correct. Second one, have a look at this. Higher LFPR. Right? LFPR. What is this? A concept of LFPR? Labor force participation rate. Labor force participation rate. Right? LFPR basically finds out, or it's a measurement of how many people are either working or searching for the jobs within the working age population. If LFPR is higher, it is always considered to be a good indicator. For example, very often in the newspaper, you'll come across this statement. LFPR for women in India is lower. Correct? Do let me know in the chat section. LFPR in case of India is lower for women. Right? That statement is correct. And what is the use of this indicator? If LFPR starts increasing, it means more and more women are part of right labor force. Lot of them are working or searching for the jobs, and that will contribute to, right, let's say higher productivity, higher production, and that is good for the economy. Right? So higher LFPR is also considered to be an indicator for higher demographic dividend. Reducing dependency ratio. Just now we have discussed this. Yes. Reducing dependency ratio will indicate that the denominator is increasing. Denominator is bulging. And there is also a term called as youth bulge. UPSC can throw you this particular term. Don't get confused. There is also a term called as a youth bulge, basically representing how much part of the population is youth population. It is increasing, etc. like this. So all of this can be asked in the preliminary examination. All of them have been mentioned in the, right, let's say economic survey. And again, I'm quoting this. It is from economic survey, specifically from the employment chapter. Okay, so reducing dependency ratio, higher LFPR, median age, right, lower than 30 years, all of them are indicators. Right option for question number 10 will be option C. All three are correct. Okay, now I've given certain data here. All of them, again, points are from economic survey. Go through them. These points will be there in the handout as well. Download the handout, read them. Okay, so some other points from the economic survey, certain more points. Okay. Questions can be asked. What reforms were undertaken by the government? Last year, food inflation was asked. This year from the economic survey, they might ask you what indicators or what reforms were undertaken by the government to control food inflation in the prelims, right? Four options or four statements, three statements like this, right? Government has imposed certain restrictions or reforms such as imposing stock limits. Government has sold Bharat branded products, right? The name Bharat has been used to sell multiple products in the market. Bharat Atta is there, Bharat Pulses is there. Government has right essentially promoted the imports by reducing right the duties, by reducing the tariffs on these particular imports. And so multiple types of reforms have been undertaken by the government in the context of cereals, the context of pulses, as well as vegetables. The list which has been mentioned in the economic survey is also given here. Please go through this. Please go through all of this. Couple of more points. Kisan Rin Portal. Kisan Rin Portal. Right? What is the importance of Kisan Rin Portal? Essentially, under this, I'll connect it to current affairs as well. There is an initiative of Government of India, Kisan Credit Card. All of you heard of this? Kisan Credit Card. I'll take up a question on Kisan Credit Card, specifically the modified interest subvention scheme later when I take up questions from budget. There are questions from budget also. Have patience. I'll go to the budget after this. So, Kisan Credit Card, understand this, to ensure that the whole process of filing the documents, right, the whole process of filing the documents, etc., the government has streamlined the process. How it has streamlined the process? It has set up a portal by the name of Kisan Rin Portal. Rin is essentially Hindi word. So Kisan Rin portal has been set up. It was launched in 2023. It has streamlined the whole process of filing documents, getting the interest subvention, transferring it to, right, let's say the farmers who need to receive this, right, etc. So this is one more point. Please make a note of this. Agriculture Marketing Infrastructure, AMI. There is somebody asking Megha, how imports will increase inflation? My dear, imports will not increase inflation. If government will reduce customs on the imports, the import will go down. And I'm sorry, the cost of the import will go down. When the cost of the import will go down, automatically the cost when the product will land in India will be lesser. And when it becomes lesser, supplied to the market, right, at a lesser price, it will help us in controlling. Done. So agriculture marketing infrastructure, this was also mentioned. One initiative that was put in a box. Put in a box. That's a reason. It will provide capital to individuals, farmers, as well as cooperatives to develop storage infrastructure. There is a particular reason why I've taken this. One reason is it is given in a box in economic survey. Second reason is all of you heard of Agriculture Infrastructure Fund, AIF. Agriculture Infrastructure Fund. There was a modification done by Government of India under AIF. It is including even the farmer producer organizations now. It is also done in order to promote infrastructure associated with post harvest infrastructure. So associated with this, there is one more initiative, agriculture marketing infrastructure. It will provide capital to individuals, the farmers, the cooperatives, etc. Right, essentially to develop, right, let's say warehousing infrastructure. Right, so AIF and AMI both are connected to agriculture storage infrastructure. AIF has a wider ambit; it covers multiple types. The AMI is more focused on the storage infrastructure. Right? So points are given. Please make a note of this as well. Now, next one, Business Reforms Action Plan, BRAP. Business Reforms Action Plan. This is also mentioned in a box. What is a Business Reforms Action Plan? Listen to me carefully. The Government of India has the objective of promoting ease of doing business. Correct? EODB. The Government of India simply says we want to reduce the government, increase the governance. How? One of the ways that the Government of India has done is essentially implemented the concept of business reform action plan back in the year 2014. It was implemented from 2014. Over a period of time, they have restructured BRAP. But what is essentially the model of BRAP? Using BRAP, please understand, it was launched by Department for Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade. The government would be identifying certain problems regarding regulation. The government, I repeat, would be identifying certain problems regarding regulation. And by the way, there is a chapter focused on deregulation in economic survey. There is a complete chapter. We look at the deregulation from the context mainly focused on mains examination. But right now, one area that you need to focus on the concept is BRAP. At BRAP launched by DPIIT in 2014 and 15, the logic was essentially identify certain problems in terms of regulatory policies of the government, especially at the state level, implement policies, implement reforms to deregulate, essentially promote ease of doing business. Right? So remember, BRAP is that name. And right now, the government of India is also considering launching right a new version of a BRAP. They're considering that. It is yet to be done. They're considering to launch a new version of BRAP. Done? Let me go into the budget section now. Let me discuss certain important concepts in the budget as well. First one, all of you heard of the term rebate? Anybody in the class who says, sir, I've never heard the term rebate, especially in the last 3 months. The context of the budget, the government of India announced tax rebates. The government announced tax rebates. Is the tax rebate applicable to all the taxpayers? Do let me know. Is the tax rebate applicable to all the taxpayers in India? No. Some of you are saying yes. No. It is not available to all the taxpayers. It is available to only those taxpayers whose taxable income is up to 12 lakh rupees. Right? Only those people whose taxable income is up to 12 lakh rupees, they can avail the tax rebate. Sir, what if my income is more than 12 lakh rupees? Government says, no, I will not give you this particular tax rebate. Done? Okay, this is point number one. Point number two, there is a term called as a tax expenditure. Earlier, we have covered that also. What is a tax expenditure? Tax expenditure basically is the tax revenue that is foregone. The tax revenue that is sacrificed by the government. Is the tax rebate part of the tax expenditure? Answer is yes. Answer is yes. Please remember this. Tax expenditure basically measures all the forms of tax money that is sacrificed by the government, be it in the form of exemption, be it in the form of a rebate. All of these will be counted as a part of tax expenditure. First statement is correct. Tax rebate is provided under the Income Tax Act of 1961. Is the statement true? Do let me know. Is the statement true? Is it provided as a part of provision under the Income Tax Act of 1961? Yes. Section 87A. Remember, this also can be quoted in the prelims examination. Section 87A. It is provided under the Income Tax Act of 1961. Yes. Section 87A. Second statement is correct. Right option for the question will be option C. Both of them are correct. Now, just for sake of clarity, I've given the three terms here: tax rebate, deduction versus exemption. And these are the tax slabs. Don't waste your time. Do not memorize it. Just for the sake of information, I've given the table. What is the difference between rebate, deduction, and exemption? Point number one, rebate is you pay taxes and it will be refunded. Simple. You pay taxes, it will be refunded. That is rebate. Deduction, essentially this amount will be counted, that is the part of the income will be counted, but when you are filing the income tax rates, this expenditure will be deducted, that will be subtracted. Is it okay? This income will be this expenditure will be subtracted. For example, section 80, those income taxpayers will know this. Section 80 is their favorite. Section 80 is their favorite. Section 24 and Section 80. Section 80 is for everyone. Section 24 is more for the people who have taken the, right, let's say the housing loan. But Section 80, it is very famous. Section 80C, right, especially famous. Tax deduction. You pay PPF, you make a payment for insurance, etc. All of that will be used as a deduction. Tax exemption. This income will not be counted as a taxable income source. My point clear? This income, the source of the income will not be counted as a taxable income source. Right? They will simply say this will not be counted when I want to calculate, right? Let's say the agriculture, I'm sorry, the when I want to calculate income tax. Example, agriculture income. Example, incomes generated by those entities which are working in the special economic zones, right? Or for that matter, startups. This was there in the budget also. I'll come to that. Startups, right? 100% exemptions are provided. Everybody is okay? So tax rebate, tax reduction, and tax exemption. Let me go to question number 12 now. And some of you are asking, what is SCZ? My dear, we had discussed the model of SCZ as a revision hardly 4 days ago, hardly 5 days ago. It's not been 4 or 5 days. I believe Saturday till midnight 12 or early morning Sunday 12, we had a discussion. One of the area that I covered was SCZ. Let me go forward. Question number 12. Consider the following statements. The medium term fiscal policy framework has provided rolling targets for 3 years in the budget for financial year 26. Please do let me know. Is the statement correct? Second statement, the startups incorporated till 2030 will get tax exemption. Right? First statement, be careful. This statement or the first statement is slightly difficult. Slightly difficult. I'll connect it to current affairs. The medium term fiscal policy framework has provided rolling targets for 3 years in the budget for financial year 26. Statement is incorrect. Some of you are saying option C. Some of you are saying option A. Right? A is out of the window. C is also out of the window. Right? So medium term fiscal policy framework has not provided, right, let's say the 3 year targets or the rolling targets. Understand this carefully. Whenever the budget is presented, right, listen to me very carefully. Whenever the budget is presented, there are three statements which are provided by the government. Three statements. Macroeconomic framework statement, fiscal policy strategy statement, and the third one, medium term fiscal policy statement. Right? And all of these are provided as per the provisions, as per the sections of Fiscal Responsibility Budget Management Act of 2003. What is the importance of macroeconomic framework statement? It will provide overall viewpoint of economy, different sectors of the economy. How are we expecting? How are we expecting them to perform in the next 1 year? That is essentially macroeconomic framework statement. Second one, fiscal policy strategy statement. What is a fiscal policy strategy statement? In the next 1 year, what will be the target area for the government? What will be the strategic area for the government? That is the second one. Third one, medium term fiscal policy statement. This is where you connect to the concept of rolling targets. Now listen to me carefully. This is where you connect to the concept of rolling target. What is the meaning of a rolling target? Government until recently means what? Until 21 and 22, whenever they used to announce a budget, used to provide targets for the next 3 years. Is the point clear to everyone? I'll tell you what kind of targets were given. Until 21 and 22, the government used to provide rolling targets for certain indicators according to medium term fiscal policy statement. So what kind of indicators? Fiscal deficit, revenue deficit, right? The debt of the government, right? Etc. So certain indicators were identified, and the government would simply say, for the next 3 financial years, These will be the targets that I will set up. Everybody is okay? Everybody is able to understand? But from 21 to 22, Government of India has discontinued this. How do I prove it? Look at what was given for the budget that was presented this year. Look at what kind of target was given for budget presented this year. The target was given only for 25 and 26. That is only for the year for which budget is presented. Nothing for 26 and 27. Nothing for 27 and 28. And I know some of you might be wondering, sir, why these are called as rolling targets. There's a particular reason. The reason why these are called as a rolling target is these are changed as per economic situation. For example, imagine the government had given rolling targets for 25 and 26, 26 and 27, 27 and 28. Don't you think by next year, macroeconomic situation could be different? And if the macroeconomic situation is different, automatically what is the target for 26 and 27 would change. What is the target for 27 and 28 would also change. So that is the reason these are called as rolling targets. And because I'm using the term rolling targets here, can you remember a concept of planning where rolling target or rolling plan or rolled plan is associated with this? That is the term rolling. Rolling plan. Right? Basically, during 1978, the sixth 5-year plan, it was basically a rolling plan. Correct? All of you able to understand? Right? So, argument is again, since I'm using the term planning, please understand. Please focus on Niti Ayog. Focus on Niti Ayog. Although I've not covered because completely static, there is nothing to cover. Just at least focus on the basic points regarding rolling target. I'm sorry, the Niti Ayog. Why? 10 years. Niti Ayog has completed 10 years. Focus on that. Okay, let me go back here. From 21 and 22, come to the point now. From 21-22, Government of India has discontinued. It is not providing rolling target. Rolling targets. Is it okay? Right, so these are certain important points. So based on this, first statement is incorrect. The startups incorporated till 2030 will get tax exemption. This statement is correct. The amount of tax exemption was supposed to end after financial year 25. What do you mean by tax exemption? According to the Startup India policy, 3 years, any 3 financial consecutive years for a startup, the government will provide 100% tax exemption. Is the point clear? The government will provide 100% tax exemption. It was supposed to end by financial year 25. Now this has been extended till financial year 30. Right, so this is an announcement done by the finance minister in the budget. Let me go forward, and based on this, right option for question number 12 is option, right? That is option B. Only 2 is correct. These are the deficit trends. Please go through the deficit trends. UPSC has the tendency of asking whether the fiscal deficit has consistently increased, revenue deficit has consistently decreased in the last 1 decade, the primary deficit has it increased consistently in the last 1 decade. These kind of statements are given in the prelims. Questions can be asked. Go through the trend of right. Let's say all the 4 deficits. I've given it from the latest budget documents. Latest budget documents. Okay. Question number 30 now. Somebody was asking, sir, when will the class be over? I'm not tired, but I want to go somewhere. Right? I'm not. I hope you understand this. I think I've got around 16 to 17 questions covering the budget as well as economic survey. After that, I have left out a particular part that is essentially the concept of IMF. I'll cover IMF. Maybe 1 more hour. Maybe 1 more hour. I'll cover everything. Okay, let's go forward. This is a very important statement. Read this statement. Okay, read the statement. Which of the following will be used as an operational target for fiscal consolidation by the government from the next fiscal? For the next fiscal. Listen to me very carefully. Lot of you will basically say, sir, when you talk about, right, let's say fiscal target, when you talk about the fiscal consolidation, for me, fiscal deficit is the most important indicator. Correct? I know a lot of you will basically say this. The fiscal deficit is the most important indicator. And some of you will basically say the fiscal deficit is important. Debt to GDP ratio is important. Effective revenue deficit is also important. So I feel right option is option D. I will tell you a very important update now. Listen to me carefully. Read the headline from the newspaper article. Please read the headline. Union Budget 2025, the government details a roadmap for shift to debt to GDP ratio as a fiscal anchor from financial year 26 and 27. Meaning what? Until now, the government used to consider fiscal deficit as an indicator to make policies. Is my statement clear to everyone? Until now, I repeat, until now, the government used to take fiscal deficit as an indicator to make policies. From next year, the government simply says, no, I will not use a fiscal deficit. Rather, I will use a debt to GDP ratio. This is a very, very important announcement done in the budget for this year. For next fiscal, government will not take fiscal deficit as an indicator for making policies. It will take debt to GDP ratio. Like, understand this. The reason behind this is debt to GDP ratio is a better indicator. It will provide better information. It will provide more transparent information regarding simply focusing on fiscal deficit. Because the fiscal deficit provides information regarding how much money you are borrowing. It doesn't give a information regarding what is your liability, how much money you will have to repay. That is not given in the fiscal deficit indicator. That's the reason the government of India simply says, from the next fiscal, I will use the debt to GDP ratio as a fiscal anchor. Is everybody okay? So the right option for this particular question will be, that is the second one, statement, or let's say option A is the right one. Like a lot of you are simply saying, sir, basically following a recommendation of NK Singh committee. Yes, NK Singh committee or FRBM review committee recommended that government should target debt to GDP ratio. It should target debt to GDP ratio rather than simply running behind only fiscal deficit and revenue deficit. Everybody is okay with the statement here? Everybody is clear with the argument of the government of India? Please do let me know. Right, I've given certain graphs here, fiscal deficit to GDP ratio. What is the estimation? How it has behaved in the past? What is the estimated, let's say movement which is going to happen in the next 1 year, right, etc. The graph is given. Have a look at it. In addition to this, I've also given two more graphs. One provides details regarding the outstanding liabilities of Government of India as a percentage of GDP. And second one provides how the interest receipts of Government of India have moved as a percentage of, again, GDP. What is the importance of this? A trend-based question can be asked. Make notes. Make mental maps. Has the interest liabilities as a percentage of GDP increased in the last 1 decade consistently for Government of India? Answer will be no. Have a look at it. Answer will be no. 42% and 37%. 39% and 37%. Answer is no. What about the outstanding liabilities of Government of India? If UPSC will ask you, has the outstanding liabilities for the Government of India consistently increased in the last 1 decade? Again, the answer will be during the period of the pandemic, it peaked, and after that, it has been reducing. It has been reducing. But at the same point of time, UPSC can also ask you, in the last 5 years, it has consistently declined. Think of it. It has consistently declined. Again, the answer will be no. Consistently means there should be a perceptible decrease in the liabilities of the Government of India. It is holding right in the same range, 58 or 57. Okay, so these are the two graphs. Make notes, mental notes regarding the graphs. Question number 14 now. Consider the following statements in the context of Makhana. Right, Makhana. This was there in the newspaper, budget announcement. Now, can I ask you a simple question? Can there be a geography based question on the product Makhana? Think of it. You will be reading, right, where it is being produced, are we importing, are we exporting, etc., etc. UPSC will look at it as a product, as an agriculture commodity, and they will ask you about geographical conditions, climate, etc., etc. So please be very, very careful. It is basically best suited for black soil. Cultivation areas need year-long irrigation facility. Bihar leads in its production. Third statement should not be very difficult for you because the statement is correct and you can make it right basically based on your common sense argument. Why? The government of India announced establishment of Makhana board in Bihar. Right? This was a budget announcement. The government of India in the budget announced establishment of Makhana board in Bihar. So third statement is correct. Black soil is best suited for its cultivation. No, loamy soil. Remember this. Loamy soil, right? Why? It requires aeration. So black soil, no. In fact, in geography, you must have read about this. Black soil is not present in the regions of Bihar, more of alluvial, right? The black soil will come in the southern parts of India, such as Karnataka. Cultivation areas need year-long irrigation facility. Again, no. You do not require. Why? These are generally cultivated in stagnant waters. Makhana is developed or cultivated in stagnant waters such as ponds, swamps, ditches, etc. Highest production is done in Bihar, but apart from Bihar, there are also certain other states where the production is done. Make a note of that as well. The climate that is required. This is generally the area where UPSC will test you. They will give you, right, let's say the temperature, they will give you rainfall, they will give you this, that, etc. And they will ask you to find out it is associated with which crop. This is the kind of question UPSC will ask. Temperature required is 20 to 35 degrees Celsius. Relative humidity is 50 to 90%. Rainfall requirement in that region is 100 centimeter to 250 centimeter. Soil that is required is loamy soil. Bihar is the largest producer, but in addition to Bihar, other states I've listed here, they also produce makhana. And finally, right, have a look at this. There is an initiative of Government of India, one district, one product. One district, one product, which has been subsumed under developing districts as right export hubs. Makhana is essentially covered under ODOP. Is it okay? Done. The other name for makhana is also foxnut. These are certain points. Please make a note of this. UPSC, the probability of question asked on this is higher. Okay, let me go forward now. Question number 15. Question number 15. Consider the following statements regarding Modified Interest Subvention Scheme, MISS. It offers short-term agriculture loans. The scheme offers interest subvention. It offers post-harvest loans against NWRs for small farmers with KCC. How many of the statements are true? Again, the reason why I've given this particular question is because of this. In the union budget, the government of India has announced a higher credit through Kisan Credit Card. That is the loan limit under modified interest subvention scheme, which was a 3 lakh rupees, now has been increased to 5 lakh rupees. Remember this. This was the announcement. Right? That is essentially under modified interest subvention scheme. The government of India provides interest subvention. It provides interest subvention. What do you mean by interest subvention? In a very simple way, if you take a loan, let's say agriculture loan, let's say rate of interest is 7%. Let's say rate of interest is 7%. The government of India will bear part of this, generally 2%. Right? Or let's say 3%. Whatever the number is, don't worry. Right? The government will bear a burden. And again, if you want the exact numbers, the government document simply said rate of interest is 9%. Then 2% will be borne by government. Interest, right, let's say rate will come down to 7%. Then there's a prompt repayment initiative, PRI. where 3% will be again paid by the government if you are a borrower, farmer, if you make prompt repayment. That is on timely basis if you make payment. Then prompt repayment incentive of 3%, effectively reducing your rate of interest to 4%. This is generally how the modified interest subvention scheme will be implemented. Until now, I repeat, until now, this was provided only to the farmers, specifically the farmers who have Kisan credit card and small farmers. The argument was the MISS was provided for a loan up to 3 lakh rupees. It was given for a loan up to 3 lakh rupees. Now it has been increased to 5 lakh rupees. Is it okay? This has been increased to 5 lakh rupees. Right? So this is a very important announcement. Please make a note of this. This will offer short-term agriculture loans. Yes. In fact, the whole idea of Kisan credit card is mainly to target short-term loans. The scheme offers interest subvention. Yes, that is also true. It offers a post-harvest loans against NWR. What is NWR? Negotiable Warehouse Receipt System. NWR stands for Negotiable Warehouse Receipt System. So those farmers, that is the small farmers with Kisan credit card, they can avail the facility of loans against NWR. That is, submit the NWR, get the right loan. Pledge financing, concept of pledge. Done. So third statement is also true. All the three are correct. Right option for the question number 15 will be option C. All three are correct. Let me go forward now. Question number 16. Question number 16. By the way, last question. After this, I'll give you certain points, then take up, right, essentially the discussion or the mind map regarding the IMF. Question number 16. Consider the following statements regarding Global Capability Center. GCC. Global Capability Center. What is the idea of a Global Capability Center? Simple model. The foreign companies, that is the multinational enterprises or multinational corporations, they will set up offices in India, right? Small offices, and they will outsource part of the activities to these offices which are set up in India. Right? These offices are spread throughout India. For example, right, some of you might be asking, is there any data for this? Have a look at this. According to Economic Survey, there was a discussion on this. In budget, Government of India mentioned, that is the finance minister mentioned promotion of global capability centers. Have a look at this. The GCCs in India were in number of around 1400 in financial year 19. Now, these have increased to 1700. It has created a lot of jobs in India. How much? Around 19 lakh jobs have been created in India because of GCCs. Government of India wants to make the India as a hub of the global capability center. But essentially, what happens in a global capability center? Let's say there is one company, it wants to basically outsource part of its activity, let's say designing, or let's say research and development, etc. So that kind of a outsourcing will be done by this multinational enterprise to its center, its captive center, let's say, which is set up in India. So only designing will be done in India, and right, basically the designs which are prepared in India will be incorporated with the activities which are done by the parent company. Or R&D will be done in India. Rest of the work will be handled by the parent company. So this is essentially the model of a global capability center. Now, what are the points here? The GCCs operate independent and are not integrated into the parent company's global operations. No, these are very much part of the parent company's global operation. Second one, the GCCs in special economic zones have enjoyed tax benefits applicable under the special economic zones. This statement is correct. This statement is correct. The GCCs which are set up in the special economic zones, just like any unit, I repeat, just like any unit set up in the SCZ, also have enjoyed tax benefits which are applicable to the units under the special economic zones. So first statement is incorrect, second one is correct. Right option for the question number 16 will be option B, only 2. So these are right certain questions. Let me give you certain more points which have been mentioned in the budget documents. The government of India has proposed, please understand, ULIP as a capital asset now. Listen to me very carefully. ULIP will be treated as a capital asset. What is a ULIP? Unit linked investment plans. Again, don't worry about the model of ULIP. Don't ask me, sir, should I invest in ULIP? Entirely left to you. I'm not an investment advisor. I do not have registration with the SEBI. Argument is there are multiple assets in India, mobile, immobile assets in India. The government of India imposes the capital gains tax. Is it okay? Capital gains tax is imposed and collected by the government. The government of India now says even on the ULIPs, even on the ULIPs, now the government will be treating this as a capital asset, imposing taxes, that is a capital gains tax, and collecting. And if you're wondering, sir, what kind of question can be asked in the prelims examination on this? As simple as the UPSC asking on which of the following assets government of India imposes, let's say, capital gains tax. As simple as that. Right? Government of India imposes capital gains tax on this. So suddenly UPSC can ask you this. Please be very, very careful. Okay. ULIP is one more asset which will be covered under the capital gains. Next one, to simplify the process, the government of India has basically announced that there will be a new process or there will be new system to simplify and calculate transfer pricing. Yes, will not ask you the process, they will ask you transfer pricing. What do you mean by term transfer pricing in this context? Transfer pricing simply refers to what is the price when one company will sell it to a good or a service to another company which is a related company. I'll repeat the statement. Listen to me very carefully. When one company will sell a good or a service to a related company, what is the price that will be charged? That is called as a transfer pricing. And why government of India wants to make the process smooth or let's say streamline the process? Lot of these multinational enterprises, lot of these domestic companies which have spread the let's say the production process across multiple areas like this or multiple countries avoid taxes. Basically, avoid taxes. How? Through transfer pricing practice. And whenever you are talking about a tax avoidance, government wants to address this problem of right, transfer pricing. And that's where the concept of advanced pricing agreements, APA, advanced pricing agreements, etc. All of those will come into picture. Done? Right. So these are certain more points. Couple of more points. Credit availability. Regarding credit availability, I'll give you an update here. Have a look at this. There is one proposal that was announced by the finance minister in the budget. I don't think so UPSC will ask you this statement, but anyways, there was one announcement done by the finance minister in the budget. That is, the government of India wants to double the credit guarantee cover for the startups from 10 crore rupees to 20 crore rupees. From 10 crore to 20 crore. What is this idea? This was announced very recently. I hope you understand. It was announced in the budget, but please understand, has it been notified by the government? Yes, this has been notified by the government. How? Last week. Last week, right? How right? I'd say how many days ago? Last week, hardly 7 or 10 days ago. That's the reason I'm saying may not ask. May not ask because by this time I believe the question paper will be ready. Right. So, what is this idea of a credit guarantee? There are multiple types of credit guarantees which are provided by the government. Earlier, also, I gave you one example. For Mudra loans, there is a credit guarantee. For PSB loans in 59minutes.com, PSB loans 50 in 59minutes.com, that is a portal. Again, there is a credit guarantee. So, argument is for startups, there is a initiative, Credit Guarantee for Startup Scheme, CGSS. Credit Guarantee for Startup Scheme. Under this, Government of India simply says Until now, if your loan was up to 10 crores, if your loan was up to 10 crore, government would be providing certain credit guarantee. How much? The government would be providing around 85% of the outstanding debt in the form of credit guarantee. Now, Government of India very recently, again, last week only, has announced that it was announced in budget, but notified very recently that the credit guarantee coverage for the startups will be doubled from 10 crore rupees to 20 crore rupees. If your loan value is up to 10 crore, then essentially up to 85% of the outstanding debt will be guaranteed by the government. And right, if it is more than 10 crore, that is up to 20 crore, up to 75% of the outstanding debt will be guaranteed by the government. This is the latest notification by the government. It was announced in the budget, notified very recent. Okay. So these are certain important points. Please make a note on this. Now, before I enter into IMF, in the last session that I took, marathon session, one student basically asked, Sir, you are talking about Forex reserves. This was a comment of the student. Okay. You spoke about Forex reserves and you said Forex reserves will have four components. That is gold, that is held by RBI. Second one is the foreign currency asset. Third one is the gold tranche or the reserve tranche with IMF. And the fourth one is STR, special drawing right. I read in the MOSPI website. By the way, they are correct. Student is correct, by the way. I read in the MOSPI website that gold tranche is not covered in the forex reserves. The website says that. But please understand, who will publish the forex reserves? The context of India, who publishes the forex reserves? It is published by Reserve Bank of India. Now, what does RBI simply count? Does RBI count all the four or only three? And right, let's say exclude the reserve tranche. RBI simply counts all the four. Can I prove it? Please look at the latest data that has been provided by Reserve Bank of India regarding forex reserves. And if you're wondering, sir, how recent is it? Is it 4 years ago data or 5 year old data? How recent data are you providing? As on May 2nd, 2025. As on May 2nd, 2025. Hardly 12-day old data. And before you start, right, basically putting a message in the chat saying it could be from any website. How do I believe it is from RBI website only? My dear, can you see the address of the website here? Do let me know in the chat section. Right? Somebody will say it can be created in the chat GPT. Or you could have used Grok also to create this picture just to basically say you're right. No, I don't have to do that. RBI website, there is a detailed document regarding this. And I've taken this from the latest publication of Reserve Bank of India. So RBI publishes the data. RBI takes all the four. That's the reason I have told that all the four are counted as a part of Forex reserve. Before I take up the next topic and give you mind map, I would simply urge you to look at the components and their values as well. Repeat, please look at the components as their values. Why? The UPSC can simply ask you a straightforward question. Straightforward question. Arrange the four components in ascending order of their value in Forex reserve. Arrange the four in descending order of their value in the Forex reserve. Or straightforward, which is more easier, they will give you four and ask you which has the highest value out of the Forex reserve. So the latest data is from the month of May. After May, you will get only in the month of June. That will be after prelims examination. So I would urge all of you, please go through, right, these particular numbers. Just at least try to remember the sequence. Okay, done. So the last point or the last area that I'll be discussing after this end of the complete economy for you people, that will be the IMF. There in the current affairs, was there earlier in the current affairs. So be very careful. Probability of question being asked. There was somebody who was asking, is there any break? My dear, no break. I'm not taking till 12 o'clock today. Don't worry. Let me cover IMF. After that, done. Done and dusted. Economy will be over. Let me go forward. IMF. What is the mind map for IMF? One is the structure. right? What are the important points in the context of the structure? Please understand. IMF, the most important, the authority within IMF, the highest decision making body within the IMF is the Board of Governors, right? It is a Board of Governors. Board of Governors has a representation from has a two representations of every member country. The one is called as a governor, and there is also an alternate governor. One is the governor, and second one is the alternate governor. Okay, who is the governor? Who is going to represent India as a governor in the IMF? Finance Minister. Finance Minister. Please remember, don't be fooled by the term governor and simply say RBI governor. No, RBI governor will be representing India as an alternate governor. Finance Minister will be right representing India as a governor in the Board of Governors. So the most important decisions. What do you mean by most important decisions? Allowing membership to a country, removing a country from membership, changing, right? Let's say STRs, allocating STRs. All of that is done by the Board of Governors. Fact of the matter is, the Board of Governors cannot take decisions, cannot meet every day. Correct. Point is very simple. The Board of Governors cannot meet every day. So, in that particular case, what it has done is it has a delegated, remember this particular term, it has delegated some of the work to one more authority called as Executive Board. The point clear? It has delegated some of its work to the Executive Board. How many members are there in Executive Board? 24 plus 1. 24 will be the directors, 1 will be the chief of the executive. Is everybody okay? 24 plus 1, total will be 25, but representing 24 plus 1 like this. So what kind of work is undertaken by executive board? They will undertake work such as, right, let's say, analysis of the policies of member countries, publication of reports, right, or whether to give a loan to this member country or not, etc. These kind of works are undertaken by the executive board. I'll come to Pakistan also. Have patience. Lot of you have started answering based on what you have learned, what you have heard in the context of Pakistan and IMF. I'll come to that. Have patience. So, executive board. Now, please understand, in executive board, the countries are not represented individually like this. All of you able to understand? Very few countries, there is an individual representation. For remaining countries, it is essentially grouping like this. The countries are grouped and there is one representation. For example, what is the grouping where India is present? Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, and India. These are the 4 countries which are formed into a group, and it is this particular country which will represent one person in the executive board. And this was there in the newspaper, by the way. All of you heard of this? This was there in the newspaper. India had appointed one person for a period of 3 years. There were certain allegations against this person. Even before the expiry of 3 years, 2.5 years were over, the government of India recalled the person, appointed somebody else to represent in the executive. How is that possible? Because of this grouping. Is it okay? Because of this particular grouping. Okay, this is point number 1. Point number 2. Listen to me very carefully. Those who are worried about, right, let's say, has IMF done correct? Has IMF done wrong, etc.? Let me answer to your question now. Let me go forward. I want to address it first because I can see a lot of you are commenting on that. Please be very careful when you give these kind of statements, even when you're in interview. Listen to me carefully. Whenever IMF has to provide loans, individual countries doesn't decide that. Point number 1. Point number 2, who will decide it? Generally, IMF, whenever they provide loans, impose conditions. Is the point clear? It will impose conditions. And when they impose conditions and provide loans like this, the loan is not given in lump sum. The loan is not given in lump sum. Loan is given in tranche. Is the point number 2 clear to you? It is given in tranche. Tranche means in groups, in installments. And what is generally done? When they have imposed a condition, the staff of IMF, the staff of IMF will study whether the member country which has taken a loan, is it following the conditions? Is it able to meet the targets which were given by IMF? Are they misusing the funds? Are they abusing the funds? Etc. If the staff finds out, it will give a report to the executive board, and that is where the loans, the next tranche of the loans will be cancelled. The story is clear for everyone. If the staff doesn't report anything adverse, if there is no adverse report given by the staff, then in the executive board, when the next tranche or the next installment is supposed to be released, it is just a formality. It is simply a formality. Why? The executive board will meet and it will approve, as long as, right, let's say the staff report simply says that don't give them loans, they are not meeting conditions, they are abusing the funds, etc. As long as that doesn't happen, there is no way you can stop the loan. Right? Another way is you can vote against it. How much is India's voting under the IMF? If you take the whole block, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, and Sri Lanka, if you take the whole block, it is 3%. The vote is around 3%. Around 3%. USA has more than 16%. And you need, right, 85%. To approve anything, you need, in case you vote, you need 85%. And moreover, whenever the executive board will meet to approve a loan, next tranche of loan, listen to me carefully, there is no provision of voting against. Everybody okay? This is the last point. After that, I'll go to quota, etc. Everything. There is no provision. There is no provision absolutely under the executive board to vote against. That is, there is no negative voting. If you are present, you will be counted as having agreed to. If you are absent, then there is no question. Is the point clear? That is the reason Government of India simply said, rather than being present and, right, basically giving a posture that basically agreeing to the board of IMF, we will, right, remain absent. We will simply stay away and register a protest, so that at least the world will know that we are opposing this kind of a loan. Then this is basically the 2 points that I want you to focus on, the concept of executive board. Let me go forward. Let me go forward. Quota, funding, lending, STR, reserve tranche. I know a lot of you will talk on this on based on your emotions. I agree with you. I hope you understand my point. A lot of you are enraged by it. Me too, by the way. I'm also enraged. Every Indian is enraged. But let's talk facts here. Fact is, there is no other option for, or there was no other option for Government of India except abstaining from voting. And if you want to change the system, you will have to change the articles of agreements of IMF. I hope you understand. You will have to change the articles of agreement of IMF, and that can be done only by the Board of Governors. That can be done only by the Board of Governors, not by the Executive Board. Okay, let me go forward now. Quota, funding, lending, STR, and a reserve tranche one by one. What do you mean by quota? Please understand, quota is nothing but a number. Is it okay? Right? Quota is nothing but a number. Quota is calculated by using a formula. Do not waste your time on memorizing the formula. Quota is a number which is calculated using a formula. There is a GDP, there is a variability, there is openness, etc. etc. Is it okay? Right? So, quota is calculated representing the importance of a country in terms of number. But what is the importance of the quota? If you allocate a number, what is the importance of that? The importance of that is, one, quota will decide how much funding has to be provided by the governments to IMF. Is it okay? Point number one. How much funding the member countries will have to contribute to IMF. That is the decision that is made based by quota. Point number two, quota will determine how much loans you will get. What kind of loan you will get, how much loan you will get, etc. That will be determined based on your quota. Third is, quota will also represent or quota will also determine how much will be your voting right. Is the point clear to everyone? Is the point clear? Right? Please make a note of all of this. Okay. Quota will determine how much contribution you will do to IMF. Quota will determine how much loans you will get from IMF. Quota will also determine what is your voting right. Rahul Pandey says quota means the size of the economy of a country. My dear, in a very narrow sense, yes, but the formula for quota is completely different. Quota is calculated based on four parameters. The highest weightage is given for GDP. Highest weightage is given for GDP. How much? 0.5. Right? The weightage generally is given this way: 0.5, 0.3, 0.1, 0.15, and 0.05. Okay, so come back to the discussion here. This is quota. Now, let me go forward. Funding. Right? Funding. From where does the IMF get the money? From where does the IMF get the money from? Right? Please have a look at this. Before I go for, I'll come back to this. Don't worry. There are three different sources of funds. There are three different sources of funds. One is the quota. I've already told you. Right? Based on quota, the member countries will contribute to IMF. And the highest amount of money that the IMF receives is under quota itself. It is under quota. And if you're wondering, sir, should I memorize the numbers? Please don't waste your time. In addition to the quota, there are two more instruments which are called as multilateral borrowing and bilateral borrowing. Multilateral and bilateral borrowing. That is essentially there are second line of defense and the third line of defense using which IMF will be able to borrow from certain number of countries, from certain member countries. Right? That is called as a multilateral borrowing and bilateral borrowing. Now, for sake of simplification, for sake of clarity, I've given you data regarding both of them. I've taken the pictures from IMF website. Do not waste your time in memorizing everything. Simply remember, right, under one system, there are 40 member countries of IMF who will provide, right, essentially around 521 billion dollars to IMF. If IMF needs, they will provide $521 billion. There is also one more arrangement, 2020 borrowing agreement, under which again there are 40 countries or 40 members of IMF who will approve and provide 193 billion amount of loan to IMF. Beyond this, please do not waste your time. Do not waste your time. Do not memorize the list of countries. And before you start typing, yes, India is a member under this as well as this. India is a party to both of these arrangements. Done? Now, before I go forward, this is the structure of IMF. Please have a look at the structure of IMF. Do not waste your time in memorizing this as well as this list. Okay, the two lists which are there, extreme left and extreme right. One is exactly above my head only. I'm covering part of it. Do not waste your time in memorizing whole list. The point you need to make a note of is one, there is a committee by the name of International Monetary and Financial Committee, which is right essentially having 24 members of IMF. It will meet right twice a year and will give advice to Board of Governors. There is also one more committee, Development Committee. Essentially, it's a committee which has representation from IMF as well as World Bank. It has 25 members. It will also advise IMF. That is Board of Governors. So this is the Board of Governors. This is the Executive Board. Please have a look at it. India is present as a part of IMFC. It is present as a Development Committee member as well. So far, so good. Please do let me know. Structure is over, quota is over, and funding is also over. Can I move on to the next one? Lending, STR, and gold tranche. Those are present. Do let me know. Can I move on to the next one? Okay, let me go forward now. What are the different types of loans which are provided by IMF? What are the different types of loans? There are two types, essentially two types. Okay. One is a concessional loan, second one is a non-concessional loan. One is concessional, and there are multiple types. Most important, two. I have given three here, but focus on two. Concessional and non-concessional. What is the meaning of a concessional and a non-concessional? Those countries which are very poor, underdeveloped countries, they are allowed to borrow from IMF without paying any rate of interest. Concessional, 0% rate of interest. And that is essentially called as a concessional loan, concessional lending. And have a look at this. The concessional loans are provided by IMF under a fund called as PRGT, Poverty Reduction and Growth Trust. PRGT, Poverty Reduction and Growth Trust. These are the names of the facilities. Please have a look at it. Now, listen to me carefully. What if you are a developing country, or let's say very poor country? You have taken loans under concessional. Please understand how much loan you will get under concessional. It is fixed. Fixed in the sense it will be provided based on your quota. Is the point clear? It will be decided based on your quota. That is, quota is, let's say, 100 STR. You are allowed to borrow, let's say, up to 200% of your STR, meaning you will be allowed to borrow up to 200 STR units under these kinds of lending activities. Is the point clear? But what if you have exhausted the amount that you are allowed to borrow under concessional? Now you want to borrow more money. You have exhausted, but you still want loan. Then IMF simply says, I will give you loan, but not under concessional. I will give you loan under non-concessional tools. And non-concessional is applicable for developed countries. For developed countries, any kind of a loan they want to take, it has to be under the non-concessional. Right? These loans are provided under an account. That is, the funds are transferred from an account that is called as a GRA, General Resources Account. And by the way, if you're reading newspaper, you will have come across a term called as extended fund facility. Have you come across this? Extended fund facility. Sir, where? Where should I have come across this? Pakistan's latest tranche has been issued under extended fund facility. It has been issued under extended fund facility. And please be very careful, not just because it was there in the newspaper in recent times, earlier also this was there in the newspaper. Why these are called as extended, or let's say rapid credit facility, rapid financing instrument, etc.? For that, you need to observe on the extreme left side, that is the first column. Have a look at this. On the extreme left side, that is the first column. If a country is facing, let's say, certain crisis in the BOP, but this is a very short term crisis, very, very short term crisis. Generally, in that particular case, IMF will provide the assistance, but that will be a short term, right, lending instrument. That is emergency requirement. But if a country is facing structural issues, the point clear. If the country is facing structural issues, in such cases, they will provide medium and long term instrument. Structural issues means what? For example, the country has a very less infrastructure, underdeveloped infrastructure. The country has, right, let's say, very less labor force. The country's agriculture sector has been destroyed, and most of the economy is from agriculture. So, whenever there are structural issues, essentially the loans that will be provided will be having a prefix. I repeat, will be having a prefix extended. You understand this? They will have a prefix extended. Right? So these are the two sets of tools. Please go through that. Earlier, UPSC has asked a question on the tools itself, that is, names of the tools. Is it extended? Is it concessional? Is it non-concessional, etc.? Please have a look at it. And there is also one more type of a trust under which, right, again, Pakistan has taken a loan in recent times. That is RST, Resilience and Sustainability Trust. It is essentially provided for long-term loans where, right, let's say certain countries which are very vulnerable and need to develop certain resistance to external shocks. That is, the BOP crisis is happening because of, right, let's say certain external issues. For those countries, long-term financing is provided again under RST, Resilience and Sustainability Trust. So these are certain points regarding the lending activity, funding for IMF, lending from IMF. I've addressed both of them. Last two concepts. One is STR. Last two concept. One is STR and the second one is reserve tranche. If I'm done with that, we are done with all the topics. So what is STR? Please understand. STR essentially stands for special drawing right. STR stands for special drawing right. This is point number one. What is this special drawing right? 1969, IMF developed, right, an asset called as a STR. IMF developed an asset called as STR. Now, this STR, it represents the value which is calculated using a basket of currencies. What is the value of one STR unit will be calculated using, right, a basket of currencies. And remember, the basket of currencies essentially are nothing but freely convertible currencies. These are called as freely convertible currencies. You have a dollar, you have euro, you have a yuan, you have a Japanese yen, and finally you have pound sterling. The latest entry into this particular basket is Chinese yuan. Is a Chinese yuan. 2016 IMF included Chinese yuan as a part of basket of currencies used to calculate STR. Okay, point number 3. STR is a reserve asset. STR is a reserve asset. Understand? It's not money like rupee. You cannot simply take STR and start purchasing goods and services in the market. No, it's a reserve asset. It is issued by IMF to member countries. The member countries can use STRs essentially to repay the loans. And generally, whenever the member countries transact with IMF, it is always mentioned in the form of STR. The transactions are calculated, mentioned in the form of STR. Is the point clear to everyone? Okay. Value of STR is notified by IMF. Right. So STRs can be traded in the market. Again, traded in the sense when IMF, right, basically will facilitate the trade. Okay. Value of STR is based on the basket of currencies. This is the basket of currencies. IMF allocates STRs based on the quota for every country. Okay. Based on a quota for every country, how many STR units should be distributed, that will be decided by Board of Governors. BOG, Board of Governors. Everybody is okay with the term STR here? Special drawing right. Can I go forward now? Renminbi is used for domestic transaction. Chinese yuan. Okay. I've written the term, or in the table it is mentioned Chinese yuan. Please understand there is one more name for that, Chinese currency, renminbi. Okay. Let me go forward. Last point for the discussion now. Reserve tranche. Reserve tranche. And what is this idea for reserve tranche? Under IMF, if you want to borrow from IMF, borrow in the sense you want to take money from IMF, there is one facility that is available for all the member countries that is called as a reserve tranche. Right? Reserve tranche. That is, imagine a member country has contributed. I'm taking a very simple number to make you understand. Very simple number to make you understand. Okay. Imagine a member country has contributed 100 crore rupees under the quota system. Out of this particular quota, up to 25%, up to 25%, the government of India can take from IMF without paying any charges, without coming under any condition. The point clear? I'll repeat it again. Right? Under the reserve tranche position, RTP. They will call this as a reserve tranche position. Or else there is also one more name for this, gold tranche. Reserve tranche or gold tranche. So under the concept of gold tranche or reserve tranche, up to 25% of your quota you can simply take from IMF. You do not have to pay any charges for this. You do not have to come under any conditions of IMF. That is basically the concept of reserve tranche or gold tranche. Everybody is okay with the concept of RTP? Please do let me know. Everybody is okay with the concept of RTP, right? So we are done with the STR, we are done with the RTP, we are done with, right, let's say the board of governors, board of directors, how IMF gets the funding, where does IMF lend, under what circumstances IMF lends. I know a lot of you want to do PhD on all of this. I hope you understand. All of you want to do PhD on all of this. Please do not waste your time. I hope you understand. Please do not waste your time. You can read a lot. Yes, you can go to IMF website, spend 10 days only going through all the documents in the IMF website. But what is the use of that? That's a reason. Don't waste your time. Focus on what is required for UPSC, especially preliminary examination. Focus on the preliminary examination. Done? So there are, again, I reiterate myself, there are other concepts in the economic survey. There are other concepts in the economic survey, but those are more related, right, to mains examination. For example, tariff and non-tariff barriers. There is a very nice discussion that was given in the economic survey. There is a very nice discussion on textile segment. But I don't think so UPSC will ask you a question on this, right, in the preliminary examination, but mains, yes, they will ask you about that. That will be part of the mains discussion. Don't worry about right now. Okay, so point number two, whatever PPT I've used right now, the PPT along with the handout for the economic survey, hardly around 4 to 5 pages, if you remove the pictures, will be uploaded in my Telegram channel. This is the address for my Telegram channel. And the first or second slide, there was a QR code for my Telegram channel. Please join. After the session is over, I will upload, right, the PPT and the handout in my Telegram channel. Finally, if anybody has questions regarding anything, please do let me know. I'll take up your questions for the next 5 to 10 minutes and then I'll close the session. Please cover 5 years plans in brief. My dear, if I start discussing 5-year plans, it will take 1 hour. And moreover, again, I'm saying in concept of planning, I don't think so UPSC will focus on other areas. They might ask you about, let's say, the 5-year plan, such as a rolling plan. They might ask you about the eighth 5-year plan, why Mr. Manmohan Singh was there in the newspaper, or let's say the 11th 5-year plan when he was the prime minister, 12th 5-year plan when he was again, right, let's say the prime minister. So I hope you understand, based on the current affairs, find out which 5-year plan is important, focus only on those particular plans. Don't waste your time in memorizing, understanding everything about every 5-year plan. Okay, next one. uh, what is STR? My dear, STR is a reserve asset. What do you mean by reserve asset? Today you go to market, you will purchase something. You will use currency. You will use rupees. In the same way, when you have transactions with IMF, everything is mentioned in STR. Everything is mentioned in STR, right? So how do I determine what is the value of STR? How do I determine what is the value of 1 unit of STR? The IMF has a basket of currency, and the weightage for the currencies is also provided. So when the value of these currencies will change, again, don't make it complicated. Can you associate the same model with inflation? Do let me know. Can you associate the same model with inflation? In inflation also, there are, right, let's say goods or services like this, weightage is provided. As the prices will change, overall index number will change. Same apply logic here as well. You have decided 1 unit of STR is equal to this much. But if the values of these currencies will change, automatically value of one unit of STR will also change. Similar logic here. Okay, right? So STR is issued. Member countries are holding STR. The values of STRs is decided by IMF. It's a reserve asset. It's not a currency in international trade. It is a reserve asset. Okay, next one. Uh, Desha Dimmari. Please explain friend shoring and near shoring. Friend shoring essentially means when the manufacturing activities will be shifted from one country to another country. Why are we shifting the manufacturing activities or service activities like this? Because the second country is more politically aligned with me. It is more politically aligned with my political ideologies. Hence, we are shifting away from one country to another. That is friend shoring. Near shoring essentially will mean you are shifting from one country to another country, from one geography to another geography, because it is nearer to you. It is nearer to your market, etc. That is near shoring. Next question. The student demand after completing economy, please sing a song online. My dear, no. I will go viral. I don't want to become viral for that. Okay. Can you tell about market intervention scheme and market subvention scheme? My dear, it's very simple. In case of market subvention scheme, the uh, sorry, market subvention scheme or interest subvention scheme, the government of India will bear certain burden of interest. That is, imagine I'm a farmer. I've taken a loan. I will have to pay 9% rate of interest on the loan. The government of India simply says, don't pay complete 9%. Part of this 9%, I will bear the burden on your behalf. That is, government of India will pay, let's say, 2% out of the 9%. That is essentially the idea of a interest subvention scheme. Next question. Next question. Explain more about GCC. My dear, don't worry about GCC. GCC, understand the model is simple here. The multinational corporations, multinational enterprises, they will set up offices in other countries. Simple. They will set up offices in other countries. These offices will perform a part of the activities that are conducted by the parent company. Right? That is essentially the model of right the global capability centers. India is actually promoting more and more investment under the model of GCC. Okay. How TReDS is different from FEM? My dear, what do you mean by FEM? Please do let me know. Yes, HDFC Bank executed first trade in gold through IIBX. Yes, it has executed. IIBX is a gold exchange in the special economic zone. Right? It is essentially under, right, let's say the special economic zone, gift IFSC. Right? We import gold, trade the gold, basically bring in the gold into the domestic market through IIBX now. In fact, the model of IIBX has not worked very well for India. Huh. Vishal Vyas Chaudhary ji. Sir, sorry, I meant TReDS and GEM portal. My dear, GEM portal, that's the reason I said, what do you mean by FEM? Because I've never heard FEM. So, argument is, TReDS, in TReDS, the trade receivables are basically sold, traded. Whereas in the context of, right, GEM is a portal for procurement. Understand this. GEM is a portal for procurement. The government, through its agencies, will procure the goods through a portal that is called as GEM. On the other side, TReDS is a platform where, right, let's say a company which has purchased raw material, let's say from a micro enterprise or a small enterprise or a medium enterprise, the bill means the amount that these entities need to receive, the bill can be sold to a financial. So both the systems are performing different activities, different functions altogether. Okay. HRX is Spark. Sir, can you reply me? Is there IDPI in AIF or not? No, my dear. IDBI, Government of India wants to sell it away. Earlier, IDBI was A DFI, Development Finance Institution. Government of India wants to sell away IDBI. Okay. Next one. Any other doubts? Shalini Khandelwal. Doubt in gold monetization scheme, sovereign gold bond and gold ETF. What is the doubt? You'll have to tell me what is the doubt. Okay. Tarakian. Sir, Republic of Baloch, how come they declare? Are Baba. Don't enter into that. I hope you understand. You are hardly 15 days away from the prelims. I hope you understand. And I know a lot of you are more interested in that. But please understand, you are 15 days away from the prelims. Do not focus on something that is not related to prelims. Trust me when I say this. Do not focus on something that is not related to prelims. Let the prelims be over. Can you read about Baluch army later? Right? Baluch liberation later? Yes, you can do that. But do you think UPSC in the prelims will ask you about Baluchistan? Who let me know? It doesn't make any sense. Don't waste your time. Focus on what is needed for prelims now. Shut down everything else. I hope you understand. Shut down everything else. Move away from everything else. Focus on prelims. That should be your target. What it means, state taxes and duties, please explain once. Yes, states taxes and duties. What is the meaning of that? The state government imposing the taxes. That is essentially the state taxes. I don't know, but specifically what are you asking? I don't know. Okay. And the name of the user is also for you. I don't know for you what specifically you're asking. Under what circumstances rebates are given? My dear, where taxes rebates are provided, where tax exemptions are given, where tax deductions are provided, it is decided by Government of India. Point number one. Point number two, according to Government of India now says, I want to provide more consumption. I want to promote consumption demand in the market. And I want this consumption demand to come from middle class households. And how can I do that? I will essentially provide tax rebates to middle class households. That is, if you do the back of envelope calculation, 12 lakh, that is the households that they have targeted. And I know a lot of will say, sir, it is not 12 lakh, it is a 12.75 lakh. 75,000 is the deduction. Okay, but the income they are targeting is 12 lakh. So 12 lakh, if your income is up to 12 lakh, only these people will get the tax rebate, which means the middle class households which are earning monthly 1 lakh rupees, 1 lakh rupees a month will be having more amount of money in their hands to consume more goods and services. That is essentially the target here. Okay, done. Let's stop the discussion now. That's it from my side. If you like this initiative, please do hit the like button. Tarakan, happy birthday, my dear. Right? Stay hungry, stay foolish. Okay. So, all of you, all the best to all of you. Please focus on your prelims now. This is the last piece of advice I want to give you. Do not worry about the rest of the things now. Trust me, if you have prepared for 50% of the syllabus from important subjects, you can clear prelims. You can clear prelims. What you need to do for the next 15 days, focus only on revision. Focus only on revision. Do not take up new book. Do not take up any new material. Do not start reading a new subject. Please don't waste your time. The last 15 days, especially the last 1 month, is very, very precious for you. What you should cater to is the revision. Done? Okay. So that's it from my side. If you like this initiative, do hit the like button. Please do let me know your feedback in the form of comments after the video, or let's say after the live session is over. If you still have any doubts, in the next couple of days, I will have a let's say special session. I'll take a special class to address your doubts. The link for the special class, I'll basically upload that in my Telegram channel. Do join the special class if you have got doubts. Otherwise, just continue with your preparation. Done. So that's it from my side. All the best. Take care. See you next time when I take the session for you people. Take care. Have a great day.